Greetings, I am Bombeldo, and it is time again for Bombeldo's The Best Eve Guides! This will be a new series on how to fly HAW dreads, whether that's solo or in a fleet. The skills are somewhat transferable, but solo HAW dread PvP, it's not for everyone. But holy, is it some of the most fun solo PvP you can do in the game, in my opinion. It just hits different. Being on grid with nowhere to go, and your only option is to put up those fists, put your big boy wizard pants on, and siege all over them. The first video in this series will of course be the Phoenix Navy issue. The dread I have used for the most, and is the best HAW dread hull by an absolute mile. Not the best looking, of course, that award goes to Harold, tomorrow's Navy issue, or tomorrow's mental issue. But we'll be covering him off in the next video. Today we'll be covering why I fit the modules that I do, how to find the best fights, and of course how to play those fights out once you found them. Obviously make it look super easy, but there is a lot that goes into it. From preparation to the thought process when the grid lights up with more enemies than you can even count. Let's get into it, shall we? Here we are then. Gerald. That's right. It's Gerald because he's got two eyes and, I don't know, he's seen some shit. Anyway, one of the first things I'm going to go over today is, what is a HAW dread? You hear this term a lot, you might not know exactly what it means. HAW, H-A-W, is the kind of weaponry that we put on dreadnoughts in order to be able to kill subcapitals. Okay, for each dreadnought, there's two types of weapons. You got HAW weapons, in this instance, rapid torpedo launchers, or you've got the anti-cap variant. For a Phoenix, that's XL torpedo launchers. Like I said, one is to kill subcapitals, the other is to kill capitals. Now, obviously, if we just take a look at the damage and simulate this here, we're not getting near as much damage as we would be getting if we were using anti-capital guns, XL torpedo launchers, but that's obvious, okay? We want to be able to hit subcapitals, we need to be able to hit smaller targets, aka we're going to be doing less damage, but we're actually going to be able to hit them. If you try hit stuff with anti-cap guns, well, you're not hitting them, no matter what, unless they're stood perfectly still. We'll go into that in a future video on how actually you can make cap guns hit subcapital ships. It's hilarious. Anyway, let's make our way into it. So, up here in the highs are very, very simple for any dreadnought, especially the Phoenix Navy issue. We have 3 rapid torpedo launchers. Simple as that. We then have our siege module. Obviously, a dreadnought needs a siege module. What a siege module does is it just puts you perfectly stationary. I'm hesitating slightly because it doesn't make you actually stationary. But if you are stationary, when you hit it, you can no longer move for the next 5 minutes. You cannot warp, you cannot dock, and you cannot jump a gate. Now, there's a small caveat to that, where this is where a drifting dread comes from. We're not going to go into drifting dreads today, that will be a future video, but there is a concept of building up speed within a dreadnought, hitting that siege module, and you will gain so much mass that your speed decelerates very, very, very slowly, aka a drift dread. Makes it even better if you're fitting MWD. Today we're going to focus on just a static HAW dread, as much as I will show you that we will drift slightly, but we'll get into it. But essentially what a siege module does is it just plants you in place for 5 minutes at a time, takes 125 strontium clefarates, and during that 5 minutes you will have increased damage, increased tank, increase everything, essentially. If we take a little look at an unsieged dreadnought, you can see here, this unsimulated, we have about as much damage as a rifter. Actually, there's probably about 2 rifters, but you get the drift. But don't discount it. This is going to be something else that I go into in the highs here on why I choose to have a smart bomb on a Phoenix Navy issue instead of a heavy newt. Now, dreadnoughts, by their nature, are very slow. Big, tankish ships. They take 30 seconds to align. They take absolutely ages to do absolutely anything. So the most common situation you're going to get yourself into is you're going to get tackled by a small kitey ship like a slasher or a malediction. You know that, hey, you've all seen it happen to me. It happens. Now, in those instances, what you can do is fit yourself a heavy newt. What that heavy newt can do is completely shut off that scram or disruptor that they've got you with, and you can then sign them out or warp off to a station. Super easy. Smart bomb obviously can help if they're orbiting you within 6 kilometers, but typically a small frigate tackle won't be. So a heavy newt does act better in those cases. Now, I'm going to come back to this 266 points of damage. The Phoenix Navy issue is actually quite good at killing small frigates when it is not in siege. Okay, you've got 2 target painters. You can kill slashers. You can kill maledictions, or at least make them warp off. Because you notice we don't have a point on this, and there's a good reason for that. But yeah, you can essentially get them off without even sieging up sometimes. But hey, this is the Wizards videos. Just siege all over them. Show them who's boss. Just teach them a lesson. If they tackle you, siege, kill them. 2 volleys. Easy peasy. So, that's essentially your highs. You've got a siege module. I will caveat this by saying, if you're going out in a solo horde raid, guys, do not use anything else but a T2 siege module. Do not use anything but T2 guns. The amount of damage that you sacrifice is unbelievable. It's just not worth doing anyway. So, I should also mention as well, I'll go over the bonuses of the Phoenix Navy and why having Caldari Dreadnought 5 is actually insane, especially for the Phoenix Navy. Some of the others, it's good to have your Dreadnought skill level at 5. But the Phoenix Navy, it's kind of a must, really. So what do we get? We get more damage. Hey, you can't go wrong with more damage. You get shield resistances. Hey, you can't go wrong with it. The real big one are these 2 down here. 10% reduction in missile launcher reload time. One of the biggest issues that you'll face whenever you're flying the Phoenix Navy issue is the reload time. It's long. How long is it? It's long. 20 seconds. So this is 20 seconds down from 40 seconds because of my Caldari Dreadnought level 5. Yes, you're going to suffer with reload times, but that is the one drawback to the Phoenix Navy issue. Trust me, the pros outweigh the cons on this thing. It is an absolute monster. Now, you also get 7.5% bonus to target painter effectiveness. I run 2 target painters on my Phoenix Navy issue. Now, some of you might be screaming at your screen going, 2 target painters? What are you doing, Wizard? Well, I'll tell you for what. I would run, and I believe it is better, and I have tested this, to run 1 target painter and 1 grappler. Okay? But because I stream my gameplay, once they see I've got a grappler, they'll bring things that just... The grappler just doesn't really do a lot to them. So having 2 target painters, for me personally, is better than having that grappler. Because they can see it, my fit is not a secret, and they will play around it, and they will know how to play around it before they even land on grid. So for me, 2 target painters is really effective, and I stand by it as well. So let's go through the rest of the mid, shall we? Because the mids are really super important. And I've changed up this fit probably about 5, 6, 7 times, and this is what I finally settled on. And we're going to be covering a topic today called Inject repping. It's an advanced technique with a Dreadnought that I didn't fully grasp to start with. I always thought I was Inject repping. Someone showed me how to do it correctly, and now it's blown my mind. You can tank so much for so long. So let's get into this topic first of all before we go over the mids completely. And that is, the first rule of thumb with a Horde Red is no matter what you think, like put it out of your mind right now, you're going to go to 0 capacitor or mana, whichever way you want to put it. It's inevitable. Whether that's you're putting yourself into 0 capacitor because you're running your mods, you're taking a lot of damage, or you're just getting neutered out, all right? People in this game are clever, okay? It's very rare that you will go up against, say, a kitchen sink fleet that doesn't have newts and don't know what they're doing, okay? It's more than likely you're going to go up against a fleet who is ready to kill you. Okay? A fleet that is ready to kill you means they have DPS, they have newts. Alright? Even if they don't, running that shield booster is going to put you cap dry. But don't panic. See, now this is the trick. This is where inject repping comes up all the time. Sometimes now you'll see me in fights just letting myself go cap dry. You'll see I've got 2 mana potions here. Mana boosters, sorry. Capital capacitor boosters. I've got 2 of them. What you'll see is my capacitor getting down to about halfway. I'm not running them. I'm waiting until I run out of capacitor. The main reason for this is, like I mentioned before, you're going to run out of cap. And you've only got a finite amount of capacitor boosters that you can put inside of your fleet hangar. For this instance, 104. You can also fit X amount in the cargo hold, 17 with your ammo and such. We'll go into that in a minute. So when you are inject repping, you have a finite amount of mana potions. When you run out of those capacitor potions or mana potions, that's it, you're dead. But you will last a long time chugging these mana potions to keep yourself afloat, keep your head above water, to just run cap dry anyway. So let's go into why that is important. You will see that this is a single shield booster fit. That's right, just 1 shield booster. There's no ancillary shield booster on this, and I'm going to explain why I don't run one anymore. I used to run one all the time. I used to stand by it. I used to think it was amazing until I found inject repping. And then you suddenly realize they are completely useless on a dreadnought. So, first of all, we have 2 Pith and B-type invulns. They're called multi-spectrum shield hardeners. In my head, they're called invulns. Obviously, Pith and B-type, expensive. Feel free to go down to Pith and C. Look, you can go Tech 2 if you want, but you're flying a PNI. They cost 4 bill, okay? Bling it out. You're going out for fun, all right? It's expensive, this sport, but trust me, Pith and B-type, it's the nice medium between price and efficiency, in my opinion. And then you got your 2 target painters, like I mentioned. The optimal range of these is 54 kilometers and a fall off of 180 kilometers. I think you can even get that fall off a little bit more if you have all the skills. I think I've got one of the target painting skills at 4. I'm not sure. I might have max skills in target painting. I'd have to check. And then I've also got a shield boost amplifier. This gives us our big shield boost, 27,000 HP every 4 seconds. I might be thinking 4 seconds, that is odd. That is because of this operational solidifier rig here. Now this is the mistake that I see a lot of people doing, is they will run the capacitor safeguard, or they'll run things that allow you to have more capacitor. Like I mentioned before, drill it into your mind, you're going to go cap dry. Do not go out there thinking I'm going to survive on cap and try to work around it with cap batteries and all sorts. You're going to run cap dry. It is just as simple as that. So make inject repping as easy as possible. Let me explain inject repping to you. If we take a quick look at this Concord Capital shield booster, you'll see that its activation cost is 2,208 gigajoules. Okay? Running the invul fields, 40. Okay? Running the TPs, 8. And then the torps, well, whatever. Okay? You're not using too much cap. And if you were math savvy there, you'd realize running all of those modules in tandem all at the same time is less than 3,200, okay, which is the cap boosters that are within our capital cap booster. Okay, so what that means, and I'll show you how this happens in the fight, you activate your capital capacitor booster, just one of them, and you turn all of your invulns on. Oh, even better, look at this, the cycle time, which is 12 seconds. Okay, let's take a look at these. Activation time, 12 seconds. That means if you activate one of these, and activate your invulns at exactly the same time, they will keep running every single time. No matter if you are cap dry, every time this capital capacitor booster sends out that 3,200 gigajoules, it's going to keep these 2 running. If these 2 shut off for whatever reason, that is the point where you need to panic, because you will go down to a moderate amount of DPS. Now, every time that 3,200 boosts into your capacitor, you've got ample enough time to run this capital shield booster. Now, the activation time on this is 4 seconds, which means you could be lucky and get 2 reps off. But that's why you've got this second capital capacitor booster. What you do is you run one, but then you run the other delayed. So what happens is every time they run, you hit that capital shield booster, and you will see that your health just goes whoop, 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 while keeping your invuls on, keeping your target painters going, and keeping you shooting with your rapid torpedo launchers. When one goes on reload, the other one will slowly come out of reload, and he'll go into reload once this one goes into reload. Like I said, your life is essentially on how many cap boosters that you have left. Alright, now there are some tricks that you can use containers and fit more cap boosters into it. I'm a lazy wizard, I'm going to be honest. I always forget to do it. I should do it. You should do it. And I'll show you how to do that at a later time. But essentially, your health is dependent very much on those cap boosters. Now, there are going to be occasions where they bring too much DPS, like six dreads on the field. Alright, even then, you can somewhat tank 6 dreads, but it probably will be a little bit too much for this. But if they put 2 dreads on and maybe 20, 30 subcaps, you're tanking it all day. You are tanking it all day. You might think I'm kidding you. This thing tanks like an absolute beast. Now, I spend a lot of time on the mids, and I can go all day about Inject repping, but the best thing for me to do is to just show you what I mean, and that's what we'll do after this short introduction. But yeah, let me get you onto this solidifier rig. It's one of the most important, in my opinion. What it essentially does is your shield booster cycles are decreased by 20%. This means that this shield booster only takes 4.4 seconds to go zoop, zoop. So you are just boosting out of the mind. We don't care about cap. We're going to run cap dry. We are running on these 3200s like a backup power. And then we are running warhead flares and warhead riggers. Okay, now you could go, now this depends on how you want to play your fight. Do you want to go for the maximum damage taken? All right, or do you want to get out there and kill stuff? Okay, so you could, and I know somebody who does this to great effect. They have the most tankiest Phoenix in existence, because they use the rigs for more tank. All right, they even drop some of these target painters for, again, more tank, and they are the tankiest thing I've ever seen. I've seen large fleets try and kill them, and they just can't kill him. It's insane. But I choose to go for killing power, because that's what my content is all about. Not only am I surviving large fleets, I'm killing large fleets. And I think, in my opinion, 1 flare and 1 rigger is the best. I have chose to run 2 riggers or 2 flares, and I've seen that one of the other is better because of the diminishing returns. Piper does say otherwise. This is one thing that you'll have with dreads, is Piper will sometimes tell you that you'll be doing so much DPS at so much range. It actually works a little bit better in game. It's an odd phenomenon. Maybe it's sort of like just an effect that's in your head. Anyway, down onto the lows, super simple. Damage. Get all those damage in the lows. We've also got a PDS, because obviously without it we need the power grid. We only need a little bit of power grid, but this also gives you things to do with your shield tank as well. We also have a DCU. You might be surprised there. Bombeldo, why are you not running a faction DCU? It's mainly because I'm running PIF and B types. Look, hey, I do this for a living these days, all right? I'm going to try and cut the costs where I can. Ultimately, faction DCU, yeah, if you got one, lob it on. I choose to just run a DCU too, because what you get for the faction ones for the price, in my opinion, is not too worth it. But if I've got them, I'll use them. Sometimes I roll abyssal ones and I'll put them in there. This one just happens to have a Tech 2 one. It is what it is. Let's quickly go over until we get into the fight. I've obviously got ammo for days, all right? But you need all these types of ammos. Let me just go into them slightly. You got your Tech 2 variants, so your Rage torpedoes, all right? And your Javelin torpedoes. Very, very different. I will be using Rage torpedoes when I am shooting at anything battleship or higher, or something that's just stood still. But because of the reload of rapid torpedoes, you're not going to find something that stood still and then change to Rage, because it'll take you too long. So ultimately, if there's a field of battleships, load Rage. If there's things below it, which ultimately we're going to go into target selection within the video and why I shoot the things that I do, because you have to very quickly think to yourself, what ammo do I need to load here? You've then got your faction variants. All right, this is going to be your best for explosion velocity and killing that small shit. All right. It is obviously better than rage. You also get better range with faction than rage. But obviously the largest range of all and the best explosion velocity, etc., is javelin. One of the best things to do in a Phoenix Navy is to kill someone at 140 kilometers away. Let's have a quick look. 100, well, it's 109 now, but you get 140 with TPs and Hydra implants. I should mention that I do run Hydras and some hard wirings that put me up to 140. What that essentially does is people will sit there on little perches at 120 kilometers. Bang! Smack them with javelin. This is why I mentioned earlier, Bombeldo, you don't have a point. How do you lock someone down? You don't need to. All right? The best form of locking down is just kill them before they can even warp off. All right? Have a look at the grid, see if they're aligning. If they're aligning, okay, maybe don't shoot them. But normally, like, even if you're a null, they'll bubble their own fleet. All right? You're in siege, you're not going anywhere, but the dictators will be like, bubble the man, he's gonna escape. He's gonna escape at any moment. Just bubble the whole fleet, all right? Trust me, I've never once thought, God, I wish I had a point there. All right, well, sometimes I do when there's big shiny shit. Most of the time, they're either bubbling their own fleet or you've just killed them before they can even think about warping. It's hilarious. Maybe you find moments that that you would need a point for. If so, comment down below. Hey, you see that engagement on the YouTube video? While you're down there, hit the subscribe button. I'm a YouTuber now. This is crazy. But just to finish up on the ammo, we've also got Dregarista ammo as well. This ammo is just damn. Right, we're getting damage with the Dregarista. It is a bit spenny, so just watch out. But yeah, it's not too bad. Obviously, 73 kilometers there. It does go up once you got your hard wirings in and things like that, and you obviously will get more damage. But it's absolutely fantastic. And then with faction, Caldari Navy, we're getting essentially the same range and kind of the same damage, but you're getting very good application with these torps. Now let's go into the drugs very, very quickly. Crash, strong crash. All right, you're rolling the dice with strong crash, but it's worth it every time. The trick is, don't look at your drugs to see if, like, you've rolled crap on your drugs. Just don't look at it, and then you don't care. All right, but you need strong crash in order to be able to kill everything. You've got hard shell, TB9. Now, you've got a choice between hard shell and Pyrolancia. I prefer to go for the hard shell because I know, normally I know when things are coming. But if you're up against that kitchen sink fleet, if you find that holy grail of fights, slap that Pyrolancia in and just start going to town. Absolutely fantastic. And then we've obviously got strong blue pill booster. All right, again, you're rolling the dice using the strong variant. You could go to a simp variant here, but what I find is if you use a simp blue pill booster and they just bring enough DPS to pitch you over the post, you'll be sat there up at night regretting not bringing strong. It is as simple as that. So that's my fitting. That's me going into a little bit about what Inject repping is and why I fly with the modules that I fly. Let's actually get into a fight now. This was, I'll probably show you a fight that I've done quite recently, and we'll get into what goes through my mind in a fight. So I'll be back in just a moment. So here we are, in the meat of the fight, or at least the start of the fight. We've jumped the gate, and now we are bubble wrapped. We are coated in bubble. This is my favorite part about nullsec, right? I'm sieged. I'm not going anywhere. Yet they continue to bubble their own fleet and make it so I can just keep killing them. Now, there's 4 main things that I am looking at during the fights. Don't be one of those players that's just looking at the targets at the top and hitting your modules. You need to look at these 4 main areas. The first main area that you need to look at is the grid, okay? Not your modules, not your targets, not your overviews, the grid, okay? Very quickly, the first thing you need to assess is what kind of fleet is this, how much logi do they have, and can we win? Right now, the answer is yes, okay? They've got Kirans, they've got logi frigates, but we're not too worried about those yet because they've got quite a lot of Kikimoras. Immediately, we know we're going to get neutered out, all right? You can see me running my cat booster there. I don't need to. We can go into inject repping. You'll see me sort of figure that out during this fight. So, we got two options here. Do we take down the Kirins, or do we just try to DPS through it? In this instance here, I would probably just try to DPS through the Kirins, because the Kirins themselves have such a low signature radius, it's going to be quite hard to kill them, unless you could spot one that's not moving. Which again, is why I come back to the most important thing is to look at the grid. The second most important thing to look at is your tank and your capacitor. Right now, we're not in any kind of pressure. You see every now and again that I'll pulse my shield boosters. There is a notion of something that you can do called bait tanking. Bait tanking is absolutely fantastic. It's where you let your shields go all the way down into armor, so they start being more aggressive. They bring things in thinking they're going to kill you, and then in fact you take it back up. Here's a great example of gate games, okay? I've de-aggressed, I've DC'd, I've jumped the gate, now I get to fight everything on this side of the gate. This is a really good example right here. You can see me approaching the gate without my siege on. What's going to happen is I'm going to siege up, and I'm going to continue floating towards that gate because my mass is so high. So I'm going to lock everything up, but I'm not going to start firing yet. I'm going to let my speed build up to head towards that gate. Now let's go back to square one. The first thing I'm looking at is what's on grid. What am I about to fight? Here we've just got Sabers, Onyxes, Lachesis. No DPS in order to kill you, but can we kill them? Of course we can, because once again their interdictors are just bubbling their entire fleet. So now we've sieged up because we know we're floating towards the gate. We're going to retain sort of 50 meters a second. You might not think that's a lot, but over 5 minutes that's going to push us towards that gate. We're going to try and go for the Onyx first here. Not the best target, super tanky, but there's not really much else that we can shoot here. We're sort of just doing it to test the tank of things. But from here, we're going to be checking our tank, we're going to be checking our capacitor, and then the third thing you want to focus on is that overview, okay? There'll be certain ships that you know that you can just outright one volley. Stealth bombers, all right? If you spot stealth bombers, don't even worry about it, just kill them, all right? They take 1 or 2 volleys, just bash them off the field. You can see there's quite a lot of them here. Interdictors, by all means, kill them. They're hilarious. You dong them off the field, but don't kill them all, because remember, the interdictors are actually there to help you, because they just look how many bubbles are on this grid. I'm sieged up, I'm not going anywhere. It's hilarious. So they're actually helping you. So don't kill them too much, but they are fun to kill. Assault frigates, very low signature radius, quite hard to kill, but you kind of do want to get them down because they can have tracking disruptors, all those type of things. Watch out for being, if you're tracking disrupted, obviously in a turret dread, or missile disrupted in a P&I. Missile disruption in a P&I doesn't matter as much as if you're being tracking disrupted in, say, a Morris or a Nag or a Rev. I mean, if you're flying a Rev, you got more problems than just one tracking disruptor. Yeah, try and get down those missile disrupting ships as fast as possible. Here, I don't seem too worried about the missile disruption, and it's mainly because I'm still killing stuff. If I'm killing stuff, I'm less worried about it. You should do, but there's a lot going through in my head in this fight. Now, the next thing you want to be looking for is the juicy targets. Vagabond. Hey, sometimes Vagabonds can be the shiniest of Pokemons. Look out for them. Basically, look out for the special snowflakes in a fleet. All right, that one guy who was ratting in his blinged up Gila decides to come along for a free dread kill. You just wipe him off the face of the earth. Now, by all means, try to go for the Logi, but this will come with practice. Understanding how much Logi they have is important to know if you can kill them. Now, you can see here, just to take it back to my modules down below, I'm cap dry. I'm now into inject repping, all right? My cap boosters are going. You can see my invuls running, and you can see my cap booster going. I am out of cap. Every other dread, all right, is dead at this point. Not this Phoenix Navy. This Phoenix Navy is going strong because it is constantly injecting just enough cap that it needs to run that shield booster and keep those invuls running. All right, you'll see when we go to reload the staggered nature of it, but we are just sipping from that capacitor booster. Now, while we're doing this, inject wrapping does take your eyes away from the grid and away from the overview. You can see there, I've spotted a Raven. Ooh, that's a tasty kill. Let me reload ammo for that. Yes, we instantly reload to the Mjolnir Rage. it's funny when the battleships come on board, because look at this guy. Oh, my name's Mr. Raven. I'm going to go this way. There's no way that he can hit me that far. It's a dread. Look how many people there are. Yeah? Wait, I don't think I kill him here. I think I kill him later. I think he's actually aligned at this point, but he comes back at like 120, and we just bop him with javelin. It's hilarious. So, target selection is the next biggest thing. Knowing what you can kill. And that changes depending on what dread you're in. In the Phoenix Navy, look, don't get me wrong, you're killing anything. Alright? Lodge is the only thing that's stopping you from killing stuff. So for this instance here, I want to go for the Raven because I know that I can apply to it, obviously, stupidly well. And, yeah, obviously, you see I unlock him there because he's now gone out of range of rage. What I should have done was sworded he was going out of range and loaded javelin. Don't worry, we'll get him later. It's fantastic. So now I'm going to go back to the Kikimoras. They are relatively easy to kill, but because they have Logi on grid, we're trying to find the ones that are late broadcasting. That's one thing that you can do. If you're shooting things on grid and they're just catching every single time you shoot at them, don't lose hope. All right, everyone's been in fleets with the one guy who just doesn't broadcast for reps and dies. They're everywhere. All right, you just got to find those late broadcasters. But here we found a Ferox. A ship with enough big signature that we can apply a lot of DPS onto him, way more than what Logi frigates can keep up with. It is worth noting that at this point you could run your smart bombs, but that's the problem with doing the drift technique towards the gates, okay? Is once you're so close to a gate, you can't activate those smart bombs. As you see, the Ferox just goes down instantly. So now what we're doing is we're now just going to start testing everything else. So this Hound, for some reason, is the tankiest Hound I've ever spotted. Right? They normally go down in 2 volleys. This Hound here is like, I don't know. He was Mega Man or something. I don't think I ever killed him this entire fight. But anyway, what I want to bring your attention to is not this fight specifically, but what is going through my mind during a fight. You see there, I'm activating my mana potions down below, getting that shield booster going. You can see that I'm heat managing quite well as well. So I'm managing the heat on the invuls. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I'm not taking incredible amounts of damage, so why heat the invuls? Well, it's mainly because, remember, your health is not actually that shield amount. Your health is how much capacitor boosters that you have left. Now, if I overheat those invuls, those multi-spectrums, I'm taking less damage, which means I need to inject less and I need to shield boost less. AKA, I can keep as much mana potions as possible. So as we make our way through this fight, let's skip ahead somewhat. So let's go to when I'm nearly out. Let's go to where I killed out. Where's Raven? Right. So here in the fight, you can see, hey, I let my armor get really low. There was a bit of bait tanking. I wasn't actually streaming this fight, so I was bait tanking them slightly. You can even see in local that they think the fight is over. The fight's not over. But at this point, I've run out of capacitor boosters. I know that I only have a finite amount of time to live. Now, let me remind you, this entire fight, I've been completely out of mana. All right? There's been no capacitor in there whatsoever. We have just slowly been slurping. But we are still killing. Okay? So let's take down a Manticore. Obviously, when you're inject repping as well, keep your tank going, but don't forget to keep those target painters going. There's a Manticore down, like I mentioned. 2 volleys. When you notice that you're on your way out, start switching to those small targets that you know you can just bang straight out of the sky. But also the larger targets. The larger the target it is, the more you can apply to it, the more you can track it if you're in a turret dread, etc. So it's all about picking those right targets. The targets to not choose, command ships. Way too tanky. Unless, of course, they're on their own. Heavy interdictors. Way too tanky. Unless, of course, they're on their own. Battleships, just beat them up. Unless they've got T2 Logi. Alright? If you're up against a fleet of battleships with T2 Logis and newts, you're dead anyway. Just try and hit a few. Going for Logi is quite good, so go for Logi at the start of the fight. Alright? If you see Logi, test their Logi. Test how good their cap chain is. Test how good their pre-targets are. Alright? But once you realize that you can't break through their logic, because logics are tanky and like they need nerfing. I hate logic. But once you realize it, get off the logic. Don't waste your time for it. Try to find those late broadcasters and the people that you can DPS through. All right. Typically, and Logi pilots are going to rejoice over this. Typically, Logi pilots are paying more attention to the game than DPS pilots. All right. Look at this guy. He's in a. Again, I'm going to bring it back to the interdictors. Look how many bubbles there are on this grid. I'm seized up. I'm not going anywhere. Yet they continue to bubble and bubble. Right, so when I say Logi pilots are paying more attention to the game, they're definitely paying more attention to Jack the Bodiless. Do you know what I mean? It is at this point now that we have gone down. And no matter what happens, guys, whether you get blobbed, whether you have a good fight, always say goof. And let them kill your pod. And hopefully they let you live long enough so you can see the dread explode. That is essentially the anatomy of a Phoenix Navy fight. I hope that made sense. And yeah, we're gonna come back in just a second. Right, so we're back. Obviously, that was a pre-recorded video. It's actually a video that's up on the YouTube channel now, so if you want to watch that full fight with fun music and me making silly sentences, go and watch that video. And leave a like and subscribe. I need to stop doing the whole YouTube bit, right? But yes, that is a Phoenix Navy in a nutshell. Let me preface this. If you made it this far in the fight, I owe you the truth, okay? If you go out in a solo Horde Red, you're going to die, all right? You might not even get a single kill, and you've wasted 9 billion ISK. That is the truth of it. That is the reality of it. The fights that you see on YouTube, the fights that you see on stream, well, actually, a lot of fights you see on stream are more akin to the truth, is for every good fight that I get 5 fights where just nothing happens, they don't make any videos, etc. like that. It is just me getting absolutely dunked on. But with every fight and with every loss, there is always something to learn. The best thing about this game is you could play this game for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Every time you go out, there is always something that you can learn more of. And that's what I love about Dread PvP, is there's just so much to learn because you've got so much time on grid and so many different targets to shoot. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, that's essentially my Phoenix Navy guide today. We'll be doing Harold the Morris Navy yet, essentially showing you the fitting, how you inject rep with armor, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on how to find these fights as well, utilizing extra large wormholes, wormhole hubs such as Turner, or if you just want to head through Lozak and do what you do. But this video is already getting a little bit too long. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Yeah, guys, don't remember, use code WIZARD in the Marquee Dragon store to save yourself 3% off. Use code WIZARD in the Eve store and you could save yourself 0% off.